Today we're going to talk about Solana staking. We're going to show you how to set up a SolFlare wallet. We're going to start off with some shared screen kind of stuff, going through step by step how it is that you set up a SolFlare wallet, and then we'll go head over to the staking part of it, and we'll teach you how to choose a validator, what things to consider, and that'll be the video. Before we begin, just a reminder to drop a like, subscribe if you end up wanting more like this. We'll also go through how to create a Yoroi wallet for Cardano. We'll talk about MetaMask. We can set up a Ronin wallet. There will be some other things like this coming up, and some more general finance content. I know I keep saying that, but it will come. I'm just still doing the reading for macroeconomics and student loan forgiveness. Anyway, I'm Marinade. For those of you who are new, which is mostly all of you, nice to meet you. Drop a comment if you have any extra questions, or if you feel like there needs to be anything added. But without further ado, we'll get into it. Thanks for watching. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the SolFlare.com website. This is where you can actually go ahead and get SolFlare, basically. So 24% of circulating Sol is staked here. About $12 billion staked via SolFlare. Just so that you can stake with any validator on the Solana network here. They do have a mobile app, so that is nice. You can swap USDC and stuff like that for other tokens in wallet. It is compatible with audio and visual NFTs, and it is non-custodial. It is a self-custody wallet, in other words. So you are responsible for your own Solana while you have it in this wallet. In other words, the people who develop the wallet, run the wallet, all that stuff, they do not have access to your funds whatsoever. They give you the protocol, but the funds are entirely yours. They do have a support system through this link, and they have a Discord that you can contact them through. And then what else? The Ledger Nano X is actually what I use through here. Supposedly with Windows, there have been some issues with the Ledger Nano X and SolFlare. I personally have not run into any of those issues, so I can't really speak to it. It's been running fine for me, pretty smoothly. And then we'll talk about the process of staking and unstaking, delegating and undelegating, and splitting Sol as well. But basically, first thing you can do here is add the extension. So I'm using Brave browser. If you're not using Brave browser, you're missing out. Look into it, is all I'm saying. But it'll give you this for whatever browser you're using, how to add it to the actual browser itself. So I'm going to go ahead and say add. And then they say add extension. So we're starting the actual process of getting this on here. So now we have, it says SolFlare Wallet has been added to Brave. So now we can go ahead and click on this, and we see that the SolFlare Wallet is here. Now I do obviously have a thing through Ledger here. So this one, you would literally just connect your Ledger and open the Solana application by following the prompts there. They also have a key store file to get you a mnemonic wallet. This is a whole separate thing, but basically, if you want, you can. If you already have a recovery phrase, you would put it in here, right? A mnemonic phrase to recover your wallet if you already had one and you're just reinstalling the SolFlare wallet. For me to use my account that's already in place, I would have to use my cold wallet to open this hot wallet. However, we're going to run through how to create a new wallet. Okay. And if you are using SolFlare Legacy with these old key store mnemonic files, this is not the same one that you would have been given back in the day. Okay. So to create the new wallet, and I'm going to go ahead and start the process of creating a new wallet, we're going to go ahead and put in a new password, okay? And then you repeat it down here. And now you have a 24-word mnemonic recovery phrase, okay? So what you're going to do is you're literally going to take a piece of paper and you're going to write down all of these words, okay? All of these 24 words. You have the option to download a backup and to copy to clipboard. Be very careful with these options, okay? The point of having a recovery phrase like this, as I've pointed out before, is that, you know, you shouldn't have a digital copy anywhere. Because if you have a digital copy somewhere, it is open to being stolen from you. There are now, you know, programs that can look through your computer for these, right? And they can actually see that, because all of these mnemonic words that are in the phrase come from a kind of database of set words, right? And if you see like a 24-word string where all the words are from this, you know, database of words that's used for the mnemonic phrase, a program can search those out and see, oh, okay, this looks like a recovery phrase. Now we're going to take that recovery phrase, use context clues to see what the wallet it's going from, and then use that to steal the money in your wallet. So if at all possible, don't copy to clipboard. There are programs that can, you know, copy the things that you copy to your clipboard. And then downloading backups, obviously. I mean, you can air gap backups and put them on encrypted, you know, end-to-end encryption. If you have something, a service that's a storage cloud service that says that your information is encrypted, remember, it needs to be end-to-end encrypted at a high level. If you're going to do something like that, which once again, better not to. So, piece of paper. Best way to do this, okay? So you just go ahead and you write it down. Okay, now that you've written down your 24-word mnemonic phrase, you're going to say, I wrote down my mnemonic. Now, you literally go in and you write each of the 24 words that you just wrote down to make sure that you wrote it down right, didn't misspell anything, and that you can actually read your writing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And once you've clicked verify, you now have a new wallet. It gives you the price of Solana here. It gives you the value, which obviously will start out with 0 Sol. And, you know, this is also compatible with NFTs. So if you have an NFT in your wallet, it'll show up down here and give you one asset, or, you know, how many assets you have and how many NFTs among those. It'll give you the address. And if you're trying to receive funds, so we'll do a quick example with Coinbase, right? So this is the QR code scanner, but you can copy to clipboard using this. Once again, be always careful with copying to clipboard. It is the easy, lazy way, and you can lose money using the easy, lazy way. Just remember, look at this, and then, so here's in Coinbase, right? So you're in the main Coinbase view, you find Solana. Here's the price, trading at a hefty discount. Really solid time to buy. Not financial advice, but so you would obviously buy Solana first, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to send however much Solana, and then you paste your address in there, and then once again you look here, preferably go through letter by letter, make sure that it's the right destination. You can put a little message in there if you feel like it. You don't have to. And then if you actually have the funds here to send, you just press continue, and then preferably, you know, you have two-factor authentication turned on, so it'll tell you to bring up your authenticator app, and then you'll be able to do that. And then obviously, so here's the receive, and this actually brings up both the QR code and the copy address right there. So you can do that through here. You can do that directly from this. I don't know why you need an extra button for this. So from any tab, you can hit kind of the SolFlare, put in your password, and now you have this that comes up, right? So this allows you to do basic functions like receiving and sending. You know, you can hit that same receive thing. This comes up here, and you can copy your address directly or use the QR code directly. So that is convenient. It allows you to do all these things. And then if you want to bring up the full thing, because if you look at here, the staking Managing staking account is done entirely in the expanded view. This is for NFTs. And then receiving it is, once again, just the exact same process where you just put in the copied address and slightly different address. There's in-wallet swapping, which you can do directly through here. But then a lot of this is where you'll actually be, taking care of business. If you press this in the top right of the little thing that comes up, this brings you to the full web wallet. And so in the full web wallet, there's the portfolio. It has all the same things, right? There's the NFT thing, there's in-wallet swapping, and then there's staking. And so if you look at SolFlare itself, they have a couple of options for in-wallet staking. So they have an integration with Marinade Sol. This is what's called liquid staking here. You get the same staking rewards. If you look at here, it says 6.67 APY plus DeFi yields. What does this mean? So there's a couple of advantages and disadvantages here to Marinade Liquid Sol. MSol is Marinade Sol. So it tells you the exchange rate between Sol and MSol. If you stake Sol with Marinade, you're essentially giving them your Sol. They give you a liquid DeFi token called MSol. MSol can be used for things like DeFi, like yield farming and stuff like that. You can use it for things. Basically, you can take leverage against it. You can take loans against it. Anything that you do with regular DeFi, you can do with MSol. And the trade-off there is that, with Sol, you have to lock it up when you stake it. You can't just move it directly out immediately. It takes a full, we'll cover this in detail in just a second. But instant staking on unstaking. And then you have the same amount of MSol, but in order to get back all your Sol, you have to give back the same amount of MSol that they gave you. And you can immediately swap out that MSol for Sol. There's a fee when it comes to instant unstaking, so there then becomes an implicit minimum, increase in market gains that is required for it to actually be worth it, for you to, then do the whole staking and unstaking process through Marinade. And this, is Marinade has their own validator with Solana. So they are a validator that is staking for you, but in return they give you MSol so that you can continue to use your Solana. And if you're not using any sort of DeFi protocols that you need your MSol for, and all you want to do is stake and you're good with the 6.67% yield, there's no point. It doesn't make sense to do liquid staking with MSol. I personally don't really use it. Maybe that'll be changed in the future. But then they have these other options: native Sol staking and essentially Solrise finance staking, which is not really staking. I mean, it's staking and it's not really staking. This is really more about like lending. This is more of a lending platform. There's a reason you get up to 40% APY. There's more risk involved. You have to create a separate account with it. And you'll get potentially more APY, but you're also taking on a good bit of fees. You're also potentially subject to longer lock times. And, the performance of the people that you're financing with your Sol also changes how much you're actually getting return from. Personally, for me, it is unpalatable to accept the risk that a 40% APY implies. But for the native Sol staking, I'm just going to go ahead and switch to my ledger one so I can show you how this actually looks. So this is how the native Sol staking screen looks once you actually have some Sol in there. So as you can see, some of my stake is active and some of it is currently deactivating. So actually in the process of making this video, I was like, you know what, I can do better with these validators and choosing who I'm going to put my money with. So actually, you can see a little bit of these different statuses that are on here. You see your staking balance, how much is inactive, how much is active. And then in order to, if you see like there's multiple with the same validator here, P2P, P2P, Shinobi, the way that you get multiple of these is by taking the original or whichever one you want to get. And so remember, this is where it shows you the actual rewards and which epoch you got them, and the balance that gave you at the end of that, and the date that this was awarded. It'll be every 3 days. Epochs are about 3 days long. This is the commission that was taken by the validator and the APR that this roughly comes out to. And so you have the option to undelegate. So what I did to get these at the bottom was I split it, right? And then it gives you how much your total and how much you want to split into a new one. So I split, and then I went to the new one and I hit undelegate. And so in order to go to a new delegation, like a new validator, you have to wait the full epoch. So at the next epoch, we're going to have that SOL going to be undelegated, and all of that will be fully deactivated. When you first get started, when you hit delegate, this is going to say undelegate, or this is going to allow you to start delegating when you hit that start staking button that you saw in the previous screen. And then you'll be given a screen that tells you like, which validator do you want to use? And then comes the process. Oh, and just FYI, so it'll take until the next epoch until the SOL that you stake, that you said you want to stake, is actually active. So this status thing here is going to say activating. And then after that next epoch comes around, it'll say active like it says right here. And if you want to know when that's going to happen and what the timeline for that is going to be, you can go to Sol Stake. And this shows you that we are currently in epoch 266, and this will end in about 1 day, 12 hours, and 52 minutes. And so you can actually use this for the actual staking as well through your wallet, but there's no point in actually necessarily doing that. But this shows you a timeline of the epochs and when that next payout is going to be and when your thing is. So my deactivation is going to be done in about a little over a day and a half. So that's how you actually get into staking through SolFlare. Now let's go ahead and talk about how to choose the right validator and why it is that I changed my mind on the validators that I actually had before. So there's a couple of features of Solana staking that I've kind of already alluded to. The lockup period, right? So in order to unstake, it takes until the end of the next epoch to be able to unstake whatever you've already locked in with your SolFlare wallet to whatever validator you've chosen. And obviously, so if you've already looked at the staking page that we went over before, there's a create account button. You go to create account, you put in how many SOL you want to actually do, and then you go down to validator, and it'll give you the list of all the validators for Solana. And you'll probably be thinking to yourself, oh, there's a bunch of these, and all it gives me is a bunch of names, so how do I know which one to choose? And then right under that, it'll say help me choose. And if you hit that button, it'll take you directly to Solana Beach. And then once again, just a bunch of raw data is what you're really going to see here. Nominal staking APY 5.84% right now, weighted skip rate 13%, 1,300 validators, and the node version is at 1.8.11. What the hell does that mean? You know, it's not particularly helpful, is what I'm trying to say. But there are some interesting things to be gleaned from Solana Beach, and the thing that is brought up here. For instance, the top 19 those top 19 validators account for 33.6% of cumulative stake. So this is part of why, when it comes right down to it, people talk about how Solana is highly centralized. 19 validators have a third of all Solana stake. This is the type of thing that they're talking about, just FYI. But as you go through here, it'll show you things like how much commission there is, the cumulative stake. Cumulative stake essentially refers to, if you take those top 19, 20 is how much stake is if you add that next one. And then so as you go down, you'll see cumulative stake go down, like increase until you hit 100%, and you've accounted for all of cumulative stake. So there'll be long stretches of that web page where cumulative stake barely moves at all. So these are smaller validators, and you can see how much is validated or how much is staked with that validator right next to cumulative stake in terms of that number there. And so then you're going to be thinking, well, how do I choose between these, right? And there's literally 1,300 validators to choose from. What exactly do I look at to try and decide which is best for me? So, I mean, oftentimes it depends on your goals and what you want to get out of it and philosophically where you're aligned. But obviously, for the most part, people's goal is to make the most money. And so you also want to balance that with reliability. And so I would direct you to two apps, which I'll link down in the description, right? So there's stakeview.app and validators.app. So two .app websites. In general, what you're probably going to do if you're trying to maximize your returns is you're going to look at StakeView first, and this literally just ranks validators by their return. So literally just they calculates an APY and it just ranks them straight down based on that. Now what you're going to notice if you go to number one right now, it's like replicant staking earn maximum APY. They'll give you the APY, they'll give you how much stake is there, they'll give you the identity, you can go and look at the vote count, and they have a website. But their commission is 0%. So this is what you would think is both good and bad. Why are they getting such a high API versus everything else? They have zero commission, right? Zero commission. This is something to watch out for because running a Solana validator requires money. It is not profitable to have a validator and take no commission. You see what I'm saying? At some point, if they're at zero commission, they'll go above zero commission, right? They have to go from zero to something unless they feel like just donating free money to you, essentially. So you can actually look at changes in validator staking. At validator.app, they do look at commission changes. You can look at the history. And when you look through the history of commission changing, usually there's two types of transactions that are most often seen there, or two types of changes that are most often seen. One is where you see a validator that has a 100% commission going down to like a 10% commission. And then, validators that were at zero commission going up to a non-zero commission. So just know that if you're at zero, you can take advantage of those high APYs while they're there, but it will change. You need to keep an eye on that. It's not going to be something you can just set it and forget it. At some point, they could go from 0 to 100. They could go from 0 to 50. A couple percent is fine. 10% is kind of high. And then with the 100% staking ones, so I've heard different kind of narratives on this. Sometimes it's like new kind of validators that are trying to raise some money to break even on their costs, and then they go from 100% down to whatever percent that they actually want to trade at. But a lot of these 100% validators are essentially they just want to stake their own stuff. They're just massive whales that are trying to stake their own stuff, and they don't want your money, essentially. You know what I mean? So oftentimes, unless you know that there's a reason for this 100% staking commission, like they're trying to get off the ground or something, a lot of the times that literally means, hey, they don't really want your money. Don't expect any sort of staking rewards if you stake with them. If you stake with them, you're donating your money to them. So it is oftentimes not really worth staking with somebody who has 100% commission. But a decent place to start is this stakeview.app website. It just, rates them based on their percent APY. But then remember, so for instance, the fourth one on here right now has 0% fees, but then also says right in the name, we're going to 1% in Q1 2023. So they have certain things kind of built into this where they're like, okay, we are going to phase up our fees at a certain level. And, that is encouraging, where they tell you, all right, yeah, realistically, at some point, we are going to raise this from 0%. You want to know that they're being upfront with you about that. And so in terms of just looking at, what you might get from these, this is nice. It is, a good starting point, but not the be-all, end-all. So Solana Beach is another good resource, but the validators.app is a lot more detailed of a resource, right? So this is a pretty, really, honestly, it's impressive. Just some dude made this, right? If you go ahead and look at validators.app, this is really cool. This is very detailed. So it gives you a lot of different metrics, and it allows you to look at the details of all of the validators. I believe it excludes the 100% commission ones, but it lets you look at all the validators and see a lot of different stats on them. How often they skipped votes, how often they skipped slots, and it gives you the details of their scoring system. So it has a scoring system to see, you know, how reliable and legit they are, how trustworthy they are. Some of them like this are the skipped slot percent. How often are they actually generating new blocks and participating in the staking with the network? There's a dotted line that is the cluster median average, and the solid line which shows their 24-hour moving average. Remember that that's a 24-hour average when you see that graph in there. But then other things like their published information, whether they have a website, whether they have like reported website URL, name, keybase ID, details for the group. This is important because typically, you know, if you're going to be legit, you're probably not putting in all the effort to, you know, make your own website and put in all these details. It's encouraging to see that they might have all of these. What software version they're using, whether they're actually regularly updating their software, with the idea being that, you know, you want to be a good actor that's actually has the network's benefit in mind. And, you know, if you stop updating your software, you might be trying to fork the software on your own validator onto a separate thing and start just, you know, start your own chain and then steal from everybody who has money staked with you. Then there's a security report where they have they check whether they've provided a valid URL, and then they also think about things like stake concentration and data center concentration, and then also whether their authorized withdrawer is different from the actual validator entity. These are interesting things because this is almost kind of where the philosophical part about looking into all this comes into play. So stake concentration, like we were talking about, the top 33% of all staked Solana is in like 19 validators, right? And so if you're too concentrated, if you're too big, this website will basically deduct a point from their scoring system because you're too concentrated. And if you continue to stake, if too many people continue to stake with this one validator, yes, these bigger validators will be very reliable. They're typically big businesses, essentially, who have made a business out of running Solana staking nodes. And they're typically pretty reliable because this is what they do. This is their thing. This is how they make money. Their commission is actually a business. They're big enough to profit from this in a big way. And so they're reliable, but there's too much concentration, and that's bad for the network because in order to take down big parts of the network, you only have to hit a couple of these nodes, and now you have big problems for everyone in Solana. And then data center concentration, obviously you want to look for different data centers that might have different like power grids and stuff like that, where they're spread out, and if you hit one, others will be able to potentially continue to run so that the node doesn't have as much downtime. And then obviously authorized withdrawer, where an authorized withdrawer who is the same as the validator entity can be a security risk because they can just kind of steal your stuff. These are the things that you're looking at in the validators.app. Really, really interesting details. Some of them are a bit more advanced and oftentimes not a big deal because in terms of reliability, it's not often that you know you have these big differences in reliability that'll actually make a big difference. So sometimes there will be, in terms of commission and downtime, maybe up to like a % difference. It's not huge, but it's there. And of course, there's the smaller validators that like 30,000 or less. They're just really small validators. I mean, running a validator node with this little of stake there, they're probably losing money. I mean, I don't know, they probably just have growth plans or something like that. They want to get bigger, but I wouldn't stake with the very small validators until they get a little bigger, because a lot of them are going to fail. Just because at that size they're likely losing money, and that's not encouraging. You know what I mean? And that's basically it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you got value. Comment down below if there's anything that you would like to correct me on, if I got anything wrong, if anything you would add, and if you have any thoughts. Thank you for watching again.